I pray to God to give me the energy we need to keep Jamaica and our people firm and strong. Stand up, labor rights. Stand up for justice. Stand up for truth. Labor rights are proud of their party.
In the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus, we shall have a victory. In the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus, we shall have a victory. Jamaica, no bother for stone, no bother fight. We did a for the labor right. No shaky boat because a woman we like. We did a for the labor right. The river come down green, it's so pretty and bright. We did a for the labor right. You and me love shower in a green, me baptized. We did a for the labor right. Right now me nah worry about visa. Cause we have one of the greatest leader. Me nah run way, go a foreign like Triple X and go beef gravel, go a freezer. Both ya fit on green like Tracina. I would say no, we is freeze for the teachers. We have the prettiest women like Anne-Marie Vaz and sexy Venetia. In the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus, we shall have a victory. In the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus, we shall have a victory. Oh no, see Center, Mass Urban Center. Catching up, St. James Parameter. Our doctors did have to use garbage bag. Yo, does you go like you no member? No blessings that flow like river. Every bad prayer return to sender. Dr. Cole and Blair teach drop out from when PNP never buy them no denture. In the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus, we shall have a victory. In the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus, we shall have a victory.
Good evening, Liberates, and good evening to all other comebacks watching this channel. Welcome to another episode of Political Hard Talk. I am your host, none other than the greatest Laborite alive. Good evening, my people. Good evening, worlders. Now, guys, the story that we brought this morning, TVJ ended up picking up the story, my people. TVJ ran the story this morning. They did not call the MP's name. We know why, because it is not a JLP MP, but they did not call the MP name. The matter is now a police matter, my people. I believe, it was reported. I am not 100% sure, but I believe that it was reported to the police today. So, we are not going to delve into it tonight. We're going to wait and see, what the outcome of that is. And then we will continue. I am trying to get the brother on to come and tell us what exactly went down. But, when it becomes a legal matter, it might be hard for him to say, what really went down. But we'll see, my people. Tonight, we're going to, delve down into a part where, we see the glitz and the glamour. We see, all of the stuff that, our heroes of yesteryear have done. There's plenty of things that Busta have done for Jamaica. Stuff that we don't really hear about in our day-to-day. So we have the incredible, the impregnable, one of my elders who I respect greatly in Uncle Joshua, and he's coming on this evening again to give us, we spoke about Michael Manley the other day. He's coming to give us, the stories that we don't know about the great man himself, our great grandfather, Sir Busta. See? So let's roll out the evening shout outs while we wait on Uncle Josh. And we'll get into it. See? Sylvan, big up yourself. Larry, big up yourself. Rosemary, big up yourself. Jakey, big up yourself. Wilburn, big up yourself. Tanya, big up. Calvin. Corinne, big up yourself. Andrew, big up yourself. Jamaica 2341, big up yourself. Given, big up yourself. Jean, big up yourself. Good evening to my beautiful wife. Good evening, baby. Dahlia, big up yourself. PB, big up yourself. Pauline, big up yourself. Monica Camber, good evening. Dwight, big up yourself. Elaine McClarity, good morning, good evening. Christine, big up yourself. Now, for anybody that is not in the live, anybody that is not commenting the live, big up on yourself. Thank you for watching nonetheless. All of the silent viewers, big up on yourself. Jacqueline, me just see you pop in. Good evening. Saying big up to all I comebacks them that is here watching. We don't know $2,500 in an envelope for go. We don't know no mackerel and rice or mackerel and flour for go. But thank you for over here watch and listen and support the thing. See? So so we continue to wait for Uncle Joshua. And while we wait on Uncle Joshua, my people, I want to point out something. I saw Lifestyle, big up yourself. Monica Tennant, big up yourself. Good evening. I saw an article this evening where Mark Golding is calling an Indicom to go and investigate the police killing of a Dan. Yes, you don't hear me properly. Mark Golding, the official opposition leader of Jamaica, who is a prime minister in waiting, is calling an an oversight body to go in and investigate our national police, because he's saying that the police murdered, because of that him a say, if him a tell in they come for go in, they go investigate. He's saying that the police murdered this man, then people. That is what he's saying. See? Now, we saw a little 4-year-old girl in Mandeville last week got killed and her father injured. We did not see Mark Golding post anything. Yesterday, we saw a little 3-year-old boy and his 8-year-old brother and his father. The little 3-year-old boy dead. His 8-year-old brother get shot and his father get shot. We did not see Mark Golding post anything. Arlene, big up yourself. Lawrence, big up. Father That Night, big up yourself. Good evening. Anita Earlford, good evening. This Leonie Linus, good evening as well. This is the type of barbarity we have in our PNP. Them a barbarian, them a cavemen, and them only deal with things that is negative. No, I am not saying that Mark Golding and this brother could have never be friends. But I am sure Mark Golding could have done what he's doing in private, behind closed door. But he want to be seen. And he's not being seen in a good light. This morning we saw where the police in Mexico killed a drug cartel, and all hell has broken loose. That is what Mark Golding and the PNP want in Jamaica. They want a civil war. Now, big up yourself, Caroline Clark, Mama Winsome, good evening. Marston, good evening as well. I was told through the grapevine as well this evening, my people, that the PNP party contacted DUJON'S, and he said that he was not involved in the altercation. It was the man and his driver. Now I am going to appeal again. Anybody that was on location last night and maybe get a little video or anything, please send it to us. See? The man said DUJON'S choke him, and the whole of them jump him and beat him. And I believe the man. See? Now, we're still waiting on Uncle Josh. So while we wait on Uncle Josh to get ready, for persons who was not here this morning and did not rewatch the live, let me play the audio one last time. See? So now listen to this.
And then the whole of them.
All right, Uncle Josh ready. Uncle Josh?
No, I was going to let you finish playing your audio.
No, man, we're good.
You want to finish playing
We're
it
good,
first?
we're good, we're good. Good evening.
All right, no problem, sir. No problem.
If you have a device in the
Greetings,
background,
greetings.
Uncle Josh, turn it down.
Let me look for it and mute it. Oh, forget that these things.
Yeah, man, it give you a feedback.
How is it now?
Yeah, man, it sound all right.
All right.
Guys,
How are you, sir? Greetings to your listeners. Greetings to you, host.
Well, I'm there and I may end up and finish late tonight because I get stuck in a traffic, you know. So I may end up.
I would imagine.
Yeah, it happens from time to time.
Snow here from last night.
Yeah. It happens from time to time when we get stuck in a traffic, you know.
Yes. We have been having snow from last night, so I was supposed to go out to get some things done. And because of the snow, I didn't bother to go out because there's no place to drive.
Okay. I would kind of know one guy driving, I know snow there, you know.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I drive an SUV, but nonetheless, driving in the snow is never something I look forward to, I must tell you.
Yes.
I remember one morning I was going to work, and on my way to work, this was about November.
Yeah.
And time was going, so I said, all right, let me speed up a bit. When I got to a small incline, it wasn't even any huge incline. When I was supposed to make the turn, the vehicle, first of all, skidding, going over the edge. And then secondly, it would not climb the incline. So I had to make a left turn, plus it was an incline, and it was heading for the edge.
The edge, yeah, that happened to me already.
Right. And then when it finally made it now and go over the incline, it started speeding up because I had my pedal so low that it started speeding up. And then when it went up now and started going down, by the time I hit the brake, I could get no brake at all because there was so much snow on the road that the vehicle would not hold at all.
Okay, the aquaplane.
Yeah. So I ended up reaching work 15 minutes late in the morning because with the snow, I had to be driving below 20 miles an hour.
Yeah. I was stuck in an incline once for about 4 hours. You know?
Wow.
And
the
only reason why I come out, Uncle Josh, I get hungry and I say, I just start press gas. Eventually we reach up.
The longest I've ever been in traffic, and it's actually in Jamaica. I was leaving from Mobile one day.
Yeah.
And I used to live in Mona at the time, so I don't know how much you know Kingston. But I
really know Kingston.
drove on Washington Boulevard.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I know Kingston like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
You know, and when there's a road known as Washington Boulevard, so I drove on there and then drove through a community known as where Lee's supermarket is. I don't remember the name of it right now.
Yeah.
And when I drove there, rain started falling. My brother, I kid you not. The distance I was going, I was about another 4 miles from where I live. 4 to 5 miles from where I live. You know, driving through there. And it took me 2 hours to travel 4 miles, 4 or 5 miles.
Traffic.
I don't know what happened that day, but 2 hours I was annoyed because remember I just finished driving from Montego Bay.
Yeah.
And at that time we did not have any highways. So but I couldn't do anything about it. At one point in time I started dozing off in the vehicle. You know. Anyway, we are here to speak of a giant.
Yes.
You know, a giant whose shoes, you know, I don't think it can be easily filled by anyone at all.
Nope.
You know, and we speak of none other than the man himself,
Sir Alejandro Bustamante.
Yes.
You know, we say Alexander Bustamante,
Yeah.
but you know, in Spanish it's Alejandro Bustamante. All right. So again, good evening to your listeners, everyone. You know, those who are online now and those who will come later and those who will catch this program a little later. Who was Bustamante? Bustamante was actually born to Mary and Robert Clark.
Yes.
In fact, Robert Clark was an Irish planter, a white Irish planter, and his name was Robert Constantine Clark,
Yes.
fully white man, but his mother was a mixed lady known as Mary
Yes.
Clark. This was Mr. Constantine's second marriage.
Yes.
Alexander Bustamante was the second of five children for his mother, but
Okay.
we don't know where he landed in terms of his father, because his father had many children from the previous marriage.
Okay.
Um, he received his education. Well, he was born in a place in Hanover known as Blenheim
Yes.
in Hanover. In a very poor place. When you can hardly remember the name of a town, it means that it's a very far flung and often forgotten place.
Yes.
Not any place of notoriety. You have never heard of it in history. You know, nothing noteworthy of it. So he's not one of those who can be considered one who enjoyed great privileges,
Yes.
right? And he started his primary education in the same place in Hanover. He later went to a number of places across the Western world, namely Cuba, Panama, the United States, and he also traveled as far as Spain,
Yes.
right? Did I tell you the year he was born? He was born in 1884. So he and Marcus Garvey was born either the same year or close to each other. I don't remember the year Marcus Garvey was born. I think it was 1884 or 1885. Marcus Garvey was born,
Yes.
right? No, Marcus Garvey was born before that, right? But they're not far in terms of age from each other. And part of Bustamante's upbringing was that, as I said, he never had any great privilege. And he traveled extensively. He started his education in Hanover, as we mentioned.
Yes.
He also did a little bit of education in Spain. And based on the research, it says private education in Cuba.
Question, Uncle
Right?
Josh.
Some of the research. Yes, sir.
Question. A lot of Jamaicans hear that Bustamante is related to Norman Manley. How? We know a must on his father's side though. But how?
I'm not sure, but they said they're two first cousins. So it's more than likely on his father's side. Right? Well, not necessarily, because his father was an Irishman.
Yes.
Right. So it has to be on his father's side. His father was an Irishman and Norman father was an Englishman.
Yes.
Right? His mother certainly and his grandparents are Jamaican on his mother's side.
Yes.
Born and bred Jamaican, and his mother was born and bred in Jamaica also. So it has to be on his daddy's side.
Yes.
Right? But exactly how, we are not sure.
Okay.
Well, I am not sure. You know? Sorry.
That might be something that we need to look into, Uncle Josh. We need to look into that and find. And I was told Shira is also related to them, so we need to make the link there as well.
Yes. Shira is also reputed to be a first cousin of them also.
Yes.
Right? Now, one of the Bustamante holds the distinction that no other prime minister holds and will never hold in Jamaica. Bustamante was Jamaica's first premier.
Yes.
Interesting, eh?
The PNP say a normal.
And no, that's not true. Bustamante was the first elected premier of Jamaica. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
And Bustamante was Jamaica's first prime minister also.
Yes.
Elected prime minister.
Yes.
So he holds that distinction, And the first two political parties in Jamaica, Bustamante was involved in both of them.
Yes.
Can you believe that?
I know that. I know that from my research. Yes.
Yeah. So let us backtrack a bit. Bustamante changed his name by deed poll. Remember, we told you that his name was Bustamante. Well, it's William Alexander Clark is his real name. So his first name is not Bustamante,
Yeah, we know that.
His first name is William.
Yes.
Right? So it's William Alexander Clark was his original name. And when he changed his name, it would have been William Bustamante. Right? But we know him as Alexander Bustamante.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now, Bustamante changed his name by deed poll in 1944. 1944 is a very significant year because it's the year of our first election. Right? So he served as premier as William Alexander Clark and served as prime minister as William Alexander Bustamante. Very interesting, eh?
Yes.
Right? And he was not only our first elected premier, but he was also the first elected prime minister.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Now let us go on further. And it is said that he was christened that way. Right? As I told you, growing up Bustamante, one of the things that Bustamante was engaged in growing up was farming.
Yes.
Listen to this now. His grandmother, Elsie Shearer Clark Shearer.
Yes.
So now we see the connection, right?
Yes.
I don't know if you're still there because I'm not hearing you. I hope I'm still there.
I'm hearing you.
Okay. His grandmother's name was Elsie Clark Shearer.
Yes.
And she was also the grandmother of Norman Washington Manley.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we are not sure of the connection because we can only assume that it was by the English family side.
Yes.
Right? Was she the mother of Norman's father or Norman's mother? We are not sure.
We're not sure, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not sure.
Yes.
Right? In addition to being involved in all of these things, as we stated, Bustamante was integral in the formation of the labor movement in Jamaica. And he got involved in the labor movement primarily because he saw the disparity between the rich and the poor. Bustamante was never rich in the beginning, even though his father was a planter.
Yes.
Right? And he was connected to Norman Manley. Bustamante lived an average life. He himself got engaged in farming and, everyday labor life. Bustamante later traded on the stock market.
Yes.
Right? Now that's very interesting, eh?
Yeah.
So that's how he earned whatever he had through being in the regular labor movement and trading. And I find something very interesting about most of the Labour Party leaders because Bustamante earned his living or earned his wealth by simply working and planning ahead and saving and investing.
Yes.
Outside of Shearer, I don't remember much about Shearer in that regard, except that he was integrally involved in the labor movement also.
Yes.
But we know that Sangster was a very educated man. We know that Mr. Siaga was a businessman and he earned his wealth through business and trading and all of those things. We know that Bruce Golding is a businessman. We know that Andrew Holness traded and earned his wealth that way. So I find something very interesting about all of the Jamaica Labour Party leaders,
Yes.
right? As opposed to the PNP leaders. Because we don't know of Norman having a business. We don't know of Michael having a business. We don't know of PJ having a business. We don't know of Portia having a business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, PJ was a lawyer. Norman was a lawyer.
Yes.
Right? But of course, they all gained their wealth from politics.
Yes.
We know that Norman inherited his wealth from his English family.
Yes.
Right? And that is why he went to places like JC and he went back to England for further schooling and he was a Rhodes Scholar and all of those things. But none of them earned their wealth through having a business or anything.
Uncle Josh,
And we found that.
Sorry if it
Yes, sir.
We have somebody in the chat
No, man.
called Queen Bee saying that she's related to the Clarks and from Hanover.
She's related to the Clark?
Yeah, from Hanover. You know, so
all right.
Busta
So
Manti,
I'm related to the Clark, you know, believe it. It's not a joke.
Okay.
I actually have some Clarks in my family. So probably you and Busta Manti related.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
But my Clarks are from St. James.
Yeah, man.
You know, that I'm related to.
Yeah, man. You can carry on now. Hopefully, you know,
Yes.
get this started.
No, man. That's all right. You know, that's all right. You know, and I just want to pause a bit, though. So it's important for us to know these things as a people. You know, this history is very important because our history gets lost in the cut and thrust of politics. And I find out that the other side do their best to try and distort our history because they wanted to claim paternity for things that they didn't do.
Precisely.
You know, and that is not good. We have to be honest about our history, even if it's inconvenient. And the PNP is not willing to do that because the PNP really, outside of the judiciary in Jamaica, the PNP has no hand in the building of Jamaica. And I know it sounds rough, especially for those who grew up in a PNP family and you were told differently all your life. But the PNP, outside of the judiciary, PNP has no hand in the building of Jamaica. Absolutely no hand.
I was telling my local crew here the other night that the only thing they can claim is the judiciary. Nothing else. Absolutely nothing else.
Yeah, absolutely no place in the country can the PNP say that they were responsible for the development of Jamaica, except for the judiciary. And that is why the judges and the lawyers are so loyal to the PNP. Yeah, and part of the reason for that is that Norman was a barrister, what we now call a lawyer or an attorney. Barrister is the English term. Lawyer and an attorney is really more American based.
Yeah, we call a lawyer solicitor here in the UK.
Right. Also, so those are the four names: a solicitor, a lawyer, an attorney, you know, or a barrister.
Yes.
Right? Dujon, did you know that at one point in time?
Did I know what?
That Busta Manti did you know that at one point in time Busta Manti was a security guard?
In Cuba? Yes.
Yes. Oh, you know your history, man.
Yeah, man. I read about it, man. Yes, I read about it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And he was involved in transportation business. That sounds familiar, not true?
Yes.
Yes. Right. And he used to be a clerk at one point in time. CLERK. What we call clerk, but the English pronunciation is clerk.
Yeah.
Right? He was also a clerk at one point in time. You know, at that time they used to call it pen keeping.
Yes.
You know, so he did a lot of trading, and apart from trading, he also got involved in the money lending business. What they call it again, when you lend money to people and then pay you back, like the small business loan thing.
What you call it again? I think like we call them loan shop, but there's another name for it. Is it pawn shop. No, I wouldn't pawn him a pawn. I let him lend money. So I'm a loan shark. He was a loan
Right.
shark.
The Bible calls it usury. That's what the Bible calls it. Usury. USURY. Usury.
Yeah.
Now, it's very interesting that a man who was lending money, where it can lead you, because it's in this business that he began to understand the plight of the poor.
Yes.
Believe it or not. And that's how he got engaged in the union work,
Yes.
because he would lend money to people and saw the difficulty that they would have trying to repay that money. And these were the port workers and the sugar workers and the average person, because nobody wanted to lend the poor people on the ground any money. The ones who just came out of slavery. Absolutely nobody wanted to. You know that they made the promises to the black people after slavery ended, said, boy, they're going to give them land and they're going to give them this.
Yes.
But when slavery ended, they never give them, while the Englishmen were paid for slavery. Like Mark Golding's grandfather was paid for their former ownership of slaves in Jamaica. Right? So they were given a jump start.
As
Yes, sir?
I said that, Uncle Josh, we just want to segue a little bit. I don't know if Ed was listening to my introduction, but I saw, 2 little babies over the past 2 weeks dying, and nothing from Mark Golding, but Mark Golding is calling an Indicom to go and investigate a police shooting, which they are obligated to do anyway without Mark Golding saying so. See, the police also have another, I forgot what the other body is called, but it is internal, where they investigate all police shooting separate from Indicom in the police. And Mark Golding has put on record that he wants an investigation from Indicom into the shooting of a known Dan. This man was on the police person of interest list, I believe, in 2024. This man that the police end up killing. So any word on that, Uncle Josh?
I don't have any word on it, but I'm not surprised. Let me tell you why. If you can recall, in 2023, 2024, when this government started clamping down more heavily on specifically Dons in Jamaica, and we can go back to Spanish Town, the Klansman crew, the Bulbies, the black man.
Yes.
The one from Bucktown in Spanish Town, don't remember his name now.
Ooh,
right?
Tesha.
The one from Tesha was a part of it. So
okay.
Not Bobby. Tesha, I should have said. When I said Bobby, I should have said Tesha. Yeah. But there was another one from a place in Spanish Town known as Bucktown, right?
Yes.
He had a funny name, right? But and plus the one from August Town in Kingston also. When the police took them out, the PNP was very vocal against the taking out of the Dons. At one point in time, this was a comment coming from Angela Brownberg, to be very specific, that they are targeting PNP Dons. And what happened to the Labour Party Dons?
I remember that statement clearly.
Now the police, yes. Now I find it very interesting that someone who is in leadership, because you're a politician, you are in leadership in some form or the other. The police is doing their work. What is it to you if they're targeting one side? That wasn't the case, but what is it to you? The fact is you're reducing crime by taking out criminals.
And now we know, Uncle Josh.
Right?
Now we know why crime and violence was so high for so long in Jamaica and nothing was done about it. It is because of the PNP.
Yeah. Listen, mate, I was doing a check recently, and we're going to go back to this.
Yes.
And I was appalled at what I found out. I started going back in my archives and doing some research. And I realized that every form of disorder and crime in Jamaica began under Michael Manley. Not his father, but under Michael Manley. Every form of crime and disorder, except for protests, which the Rasta started under Daddy Norman. I will send you that old Greener article and show it to you. So when even Jamaican says that is JLP first lockup. Rastas. That's not true. I have the old Gleaner. And, by the way, I mentioned it before. The Gleaner has been erasing their archives. Anything that paints the PNP in a bad light, the Gleaner erases it. And anything that paints the JLP in a positive light, the Gleaner has been erasing it from their archives. So if you guys can download these things and keep them, it would be better so that we can have the history preserved. Right? But we shouldn't be surprised. Did you know that Matalan, one of the Matalan served in the original People's National Party government?
Yes.
Did you know that?
I know that.
After 50s?
I know that, yes.
Right. So their neighbor string
he
was
was
there.
a member of the cabinet.
And right.
Yeah.
Right. And funny enough, Mr. Siaga used them to build the Causeway Bridge in 1967. Right, when he was Minister of Finance in 1967, and also in charge of welfare and development. He used them in the building of the Causeway Bridge for that crossover, right?
Yeah.
But then the close relationship remained because Mark Golding's best friend is chairman of Gleaner right now.
Yes.
So we can't expect any kind of objectivity from them. But back to the question that you asked, and the PNP that supports and the police that supports the PNP don't mean the profession any good and don't mean themselves any good. Because these are the same set of people who support criminals, who coach your colleagues, and who hate your colleagues and are committed to the destruction of your colleagues at all times. Right? Almost every major drug fine and gun fine in Jamaica can almost be led back to the PNP. And I can provide proof. And it is so sad. And I've said it before and I will repeat it for the benefit of those listening. That the People's National Party is a criminal organization parading as a political party.
I say it every day.
I will say it again. It's a criminal organization parading as a political party. It is not a political party, it's a criminal organization.
And Uncle Josh, was you a member of the PNP?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I was.
Okay.
Not a member, I voted for the PNP.
Okay. Well, voting for them make you a member of their clan, So.
I voted for the PNP in the past. No, they can't get my vote again. Though.
Before we go back to the Busta Monday, just one more question. So I was listening to an interview today with Uncle Horace Chang, and he was scorching in his criticism of JFJ. You have any comment on that?
JFJ, all right. So the best way to answer that, my brother, is to repeat what Alone and Dumba Samba said.
Yes.
I think we have the answer right there. Alone and Dumba Samba said that we have formed some committees and we call them civic committee. But they are not civic committee. But we pack them up with PNP because we have an agenda. Right? That's what she says. Yes. In fact, I'm going to see if I can find it and send it to you.
Yes.
And if you can play it for your listeners, it would be even more helpful so that they don't think we're making up stories. Because we don't make up stories over years.
Well, you can't tell some PNP that, you can't tell some of them that, right now they call for me execution. Because them say me a lion.
Well, well, you see, I have said it before and I will say it again. Asking the PNP to speak truth is like asking the devil to get baptized. Mm-hmm. And the devil will never be baptized. The devil will never be baptized. So asking PNP to speak truth, all when them know the truth, is like asking the devil to get baptized. I just sent you it, my brother. So if you can play it for your listeners to hear, then you play it and let them hear.
We have an issue with this thing, Uncle Josh. Whenever I'm on a call, and play, but we play in another live, And,
right. So this is the live video. Something live, not just an audio, a video of the former Minister of Tourism, Alun Ndombe Samba of the PNP, saying that they form committee and they call it civic committee. But they are not civic committee because we pack them with PNP because we have an agenda. What you guys need to understand, your listeners need to understand is that the formation of a lot of these entities, the Jamaicans for Justice, the Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal, National Integrity Action Group,
Yes.
and a lot of these groups, they are, first of all, if you go to the National Integrity Action Group, right, they have 9 board members and all of them are PNP.
So, question.
Now, if you were interested in, yes, sir.
Question, Uncle Josh. How many
Yes,
universities in Jamaica has the PNP built?
Universities?
Yes.
0.
Okay. You can't carry on now.
The PNP has never built a university, and I'll take it further. They have never built a hospital in Jamaica either.
Okay.
Not one.
There's somebody in the comment section say, what you all talking about? PNP does not build Jamaica. PNP builds school and university in Jamaica and many more. That is a comment in the comment section.
Well, I'm glad that they said it. Tell them to stay, because I'm going to provide the proof that PNP hardly built any school. PNP built less than 20 schools in the history of Jamaica.
Okay.
Less than 20 schools in the history of Jamaica. Out of the 800 and odd schools, PNP built less than 20.
Exactly.
And I'm going to tell you where to find it. So stay. Don't go anywhere, my friend.
There's somebody called Israel Landscaping and Renovating, I take it that person is a comrade,
Well, you see, I pity some of them, and I say this with all due respect, because they have been lied to for so long that the lie has now become true in their mind.
Yes.
And not only have they been lied to, but because the person who told them they respected that person or those persons so much, then they repeated it all their life.
Yes.
And so it has now become true in their mind because Granny wouldn't tell no lie. I'm a father whom I love, nah go tell me no lie. I'm a mother, nah go tell no lie, I'm a mother Christian.
That kind of weird.
But mommy didn't.
That kind of weird though, Uncle Josh, because a lot of our grandparents them couldn't read. So if them couldn't read, how
and that is exactly why they were able to be fooled. That's exactly why they were able to be fooled. Right? So to respond to your question before I go back to Busta Manti, part of the reason these
Whoa. I think I'm an catchy. Uncle Josh. Think he's still up on the next call. Wanna be with me? You know what happened to Uncle Josh, my people. Maybe wait. He's online though, so I think I hung up by accident. I bet Uncle Josh still did the attack and I realized I hang up, Thank you. Couldn't read, but full of common sense. You remember Labor Day, everybody sweep clean. Them district. Remember free uniform, clothes, and milk powder. JLP party did that. Of course. I don't know what happened to Uncle Josh. Me I get worried I know.
Oh, I was disconnected?
Yes. I mean, me I tell him say I bet you still do the attack and things you're still connected.
Wow, what was the last thing you heard?
Me can't even remember my last thing when me heard it, but you cannot start from somewhere. I believe we were talking about the
Yes.
schools and them not building any schools or hospital and
We
them.
had passed that. Oh, okay. So I was talking about Jeanette Calder. I have no respect for her because Jeanette Calder for a year and a half put it out there that $3 trillion was missing, that the Auditor General said that.
Yes.
Right? That, by the way, that's more than the national budget.
Yes.
So how can you have more money missing than the national budget? That would sink the country.
Of course.
If that was the case.
And that is more
Right?
money
And
than
for a year,
our reserves.
huh?
That is more money than our reserves as well.
Of course, it is far more than our national reserve. It's about 7 times, it's about 6 times more than our national reserve.
Yes.
5 to 6 times more than our national reserve. And she had it to say that that was missing. Right? And she allowed Mark Golding and the PNP to run with that lie for a year and a half and said nothing. Until 2 months ago, she came out, finally saying that, boy, that's not what she meant.
Yes.
But you had a year and a half to say something about it all the time. And you allowed...
She was begging sympathy as well from Cliff Hughes. I remember that clip very well. She was begging sympathy.
Right. Right. It was very deliberate on our part because the PNP used it as campaign material to say that the government stole money. Right? And at one point in time, PNP even wanted to go as far as to say it's the Prime Minister that stole that money.
Yes.
Right? And she said nothing, absolutely nothing. She remained silent. And then when the election, right, a month and a half after the election, she finally come out and said that's not what she meant.
Yes.
But she had a year and a half to say something and said nothing.
And had time before the election to say it as well.
Yeah. So these groups that you see, they are PNP groups. National Integrity Action. It's Trevor Monroe, who was sitting member of the PNP and Michael Manley right hand. The one who was responsible for the training of the brigadistas in Cuba.
You see him, Trevor Monroe,
right?
Where did the one who kill Michael Manley? That was his right hand?
Yeah, it was his right hand. It was Judas that kissed Jesus, you know. Judas was sitting beside him at the time when Jesus says that somebody is going to betray me. It's only your right hand a lot of the time, can I tell you out, you know, the man who wanted to get with that churro the other day, you know, was his right hand, one of his right hand. You know? So the closer you are, the more danger you are in, you know? So these are some of the things that the PNP does. So when you hear the PNP trying to stir up these things, they're only stirring up their groups, right? And finally, before we go back to Bustamante, you know, even the amalgamation of the Contractor General and the other two arms of government, the integrity is something, right, to form the Integrity Commission. Mark Golding, when he was Minister of Justice, right?
Yes.
Rewrote the law to please himself, to say that the Integrity Commission must be headed by a judge. Mark Golding is a lawyer. You read between the lines, PJ was a lawyer, right? Mark Golding was the person who was advisor to the Minister of Finance, and he was integral in the formation of FinSAC. The FinSAC Commission, it was Judge Panton who replaced the former head of the inquiry. So if we look carefully, we'll see the connection.
Yes.
Huh?
Of course.
So these groups are not there to serve the public. They are there to serve the PNP's needs. Right? So, having said that, I'm not surprised that Mark Golding would come out swinging at the police. Right? You know, you yourself stated that the child's life was taken.
Yes.
but the PNP remains deafeningly silent.
Mm-hmm.
And we notice the same thing with Jamaicans for Justice.
Yes.
Whenever a police life is taken, or a child's life, or an ordinary law-abiding citizen's life is taken, the Jamaicans for Justice and these groups lose their tongue. But as soon as the police has to take out a criminal, all of a sudden they want investigation.
They're a criminal enterprise, all of them.
Yes. Once you're connected to the PNP, you're going to be a criminal enterprise. The PNP don't want anyone that opposes law. Right? So let us go back to Bustamante. As we said that Bustamante at one point in time was involved in quite a few enterprises.
Yes.
Right? And one of those enterprises, he was a security guard at one point in time. He was in farming, right? And he was also in transportation. He worked as a clerk at one point in time. And he also traded on the stock market, plus he loaned money to poor people. And that is what caused him to have a front row seat as to the plight of the poor.
Yes.
You know, he recognized that the poor had difficulty in trying to repay the money, right? That was loaned to them. And that's what set off his foray into trade unionism, right? In other words, that's what got him to be involved in the trade union activities, right? That's why he ended up forming the Bustamante Industrial Trade Union. And the primary purpose was to represent those who were being overworked and underpaid, because they were just being treated like paid slaves,
Yes.
but not paid in the strictest sense, but more like a stipend,
Yeah.
right? And that's what used to happen immediately after slavery. Now, the persons were now, quote unquote, being paid, but what they were getting was barely enough for them to survive on.
Yes.
And the working conditions were horrible. You know, to this day, some workplaces in Jamaica, even if they give you a lunchroom, it is like an afterthought,
Yes.
right? And some places don't even want to give you a lunchroom. In North America, every workplace has to have what they call a break room,
Yes.
right? Which is really which is what we call a lunchroom in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Right? So these are the things that Bustamante fought for, right? And because of his involvement, he got locked up by 1938. He had developed a reputation as being the most vocal voice on behalf of the poor and the downtrodden in Jamaica, right? Not just vocal in terms of speaking in public, but he wrote to the Gleaner at the time extensively about what was happening, you know, to the poor people, to the working class. That is what they were called at the time, the working class, right? In addition to that, he became a natural mediator between the employers and the employees.
Question, Uncle Josh.
By the way, yes, sir.
Did Bustamante have any children?
Great question. I have never done that research. Never, ever. I find it strange that I didn't even remember at any point in time. And I've been researching all of these things for years, and I've never done it. But funny enough, I can tell you that Norman has kids.
Mm-hmm.
I have met two of his kids and two of his grandchildren so far. You know?
Yeah.
I know Joseph personally.
Okay.
Right? I've never met Natasha, but I know Joseph. And right. So I don't know. I'll have to look for that one day. Right? So because of his constant writing to the Gleaner at the time, which was the foremost newspaper at the time, and his public outcry, not just in terms of being a voice between workers and employers, but he would have public speeches in relation to what was happening and public meetings with the workers. So right where St. William's Grand Park is downtown,
Yes.
was a popular meeting place for them. Right? sometimes. In fact, it is believed that's where he was arrested
Yes.
when he was locked up by the authorities at the time for standing up. And this was one of many times that he was arrested. But this particular time, when the soldiers not only beat him up, but arrest him because they wanted to shoot the workers. And Busta opened his shirt and say, "Shoot me and leave my people alone." That famous speech. Have you ever heard of that, Jojan?
Yes, I've heard of it.
Yes. Right. In fact, what they called a violent labor disturbance of 1938, because there was great tension between laborers. The laborers were very frustrated and decided that they were going to, you know what the old slave people used to do, set places afire. Right? They decided that's what they were going to do. Labor was, so on one hand, Bustamante was speaking on their behalf to the employers and simultaneously trying to cool the workers to say, hey, you don't have to do this. Right? So for those who are anti-union, don't be. The only union that stands in the way of progress is the PNP union when the Labour Party is in power. When the Labour Party is in power, PNP try to prevent the workers from doing their job because they want to stick up the Labour rights, the Labour Party. Right? Because of his constant litigations on behalf of the workers, he was seen as a troublemaker. Right?
Yes.
And he was locked up in 1938 and 1940. So twice he was locked up. By 1939, the official formation of the Bustamante Industrial Trade Union came about. So in other words, he was mediating on their behalf, but there was no official trade union. But 1939 was the official start of the Bustamante trade union. One of the things that Bustamante had going for him was that he was highly charismatic. He knew how to reach the common man. So when he wanted to be rough, he could be. But he was gentle with the poor people. I guess because he came from a poor background himself, so he understood their plight. Right? And he was quite successful in representing them. And by 1943, Bustamante decided that, in fact, before we get to 1943, in 1938, at the formation of the People's National Party, Bustamante was one of the original founders of the People's National Party. And I want all PNP on the live and who will come afterwards to understand that Bustamante was one of the founders of the People's National Party. I know it's hard for PNP to swallow because we're so tribal as a nation, but Bustamante was an integral part. Bustamante, St. William's Grand, O.T. Fairclough, and Norman. There was another person, I don't remember his name now, who was also a part of it, the original formation. So I had said 4 one night, but it's really 5 of them. I don't remember the name of the 5th person. Yeah. But it's O.T. Fairclough, Norman, Busta, and St. William's Grand. Right? The original name that should have been given to the People's National Party, as I had stated before, was really the Jamaica Labour Party, but the People's National Party never wanted to be identified with the poor and downtrodden because the People's National Party was supposed to be an elite party, of the business class, the teachers, the lawyers, the doctors, and all of these people, because his cousin, while Busta was from a poor background, his cousin Norman was from the middle class, the drum player, the rich people, in Mandeville, while Busta come from country, and so the difference between the two parties, one came from the poor and one came from the elites, even though they are family members and 2 first cousins, right? So Busta, as I said, Busta was integrally involved in the formation of the People's National Party. However, when they refused to adopt the name, Busta pulled away. And by 1939, he started setting about to look at the formation of another party. So by 1940, thereabout, 1942, I'm trying to get my facts together. That's when he set about trying to form the Jamaica Labour Party. And when the Jamaica Labour Party was formed, he took it a step further. So because he was agitating on behalf of the regular man, the everyday man, right? The land disputes that took place, he understood that the poor people never had land for themselves, right? And hence this whole land lease that PNP likes to take credit for,
Yes.
that's where it came from, right? So when Edward Seaga joined the party in 1959 at age 29 years old, but Edward Seaga joined the party, I think 17 years after it was formed, if my math is correct, or 27 years, right? Because the party was formed in 1942. Edward Seaga joined the party in 1959 at age 29. By the way, for the PNP who like to say that Edward Seaga is a white man, Edward Seaga was not a white man. And so you Labourites can stop also agreeing with the PNP. He's of Syrian background and his mother was a born and bred Jamaican. His grandfather also, and his father also. Born and bred Jamaican. It's just that they were in Boston at the time doing business. And he was actually born on the ship in Boston, not even at home, on the ship. And 3 months later, they took him back to Jamaica. So when he returned to Jamaica, like Busta, he too was writing to the Gleaner on behalf of the plight of the poor.
Yes.
And so Busta knew about him because of that and drafted him into the party. Right? Just a little bit of history, by the way, even though we're talking about Busta tonight. Right? And that is how he came in. So by the time Edward Seaga came to the party in 1959, the concern that Busta had, and by the way, Hugh Shearer came into the party also because he was a union man, who was also concerned for the poor. So you see the similarities. We saw the same thing with Andrew Wallace, concern for the poor because he too came from nowhere, right? And they were drafted into it. So this concern for the poor that Busta had from way down there, when this equal pay for women, this pay with leave and maternity rights for women, and the building of schools and all of those things, and education for the poor people. Mr. Seaga, who was Minister of Welfare and Development, was given the task to look at a national plan, developmental plan for the nation, a total developmental plan for the nation, right? And so he was given the responsibility to do those things, right? And that is how they fight, as it were, for the for maternity leave for women, equal rights for women, the program for lactating mothers and all of those things came about, right? So I want to set the record straight even as we speak, because a lot of Jamaicans don't understand the historicity of these arguments.
Yeah.
When Busta Mantis sent Hugh Law to Shearer to the United Nations in 1963, and I know I'm not doing it in sequential order. I'm doing it as I remember it.
Yes.
In 1963, 1 year after the United Nations was formed, when Busta Mantis sent Hugh Law to Shearer to the United Nations in 1963, he sent him there and he spoke about a number of things. And the three main planks were equal pay for women. Equal pay for women was one of them.
The Bastard Act.
The removal of the Bastard Act.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something else a while ago?
No, I was saying the Bastard Act. Even the family
Right,
court. Even the family court, I was doing some research and I realized that the family court was to be opened by the JLP, but we lost government, and that is how Michael Manley set up the family court. It wasn't his idea either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the problems that I have with the PNP, the lack of honesty, right? Because they don't seek to give credit where it is due. Did you know that National Developmental Plan that the JLP had was commissioned by Michael Manley? No, not Michael Manley, by Busta Manley. So Edward Seaga. That is how we came up with the 100 village concept.
Yes, I read
Let me tell you some of the things that took. Pardon me?
I read that on this live the other day. The 100 village
Oh, thank you.
thing. But you
Thank
can't you
you.
can explain
Right?
in your understand.
All right. So I'll tell you in a little bit. So let me just read something for your listeners. In the 1960s, Jamaica's poor relief focused on addressing widespread post-independence poverty through parish-based administration. This was Bustamante's trust, and I want people to understand. Mr. Siaga created it and developed it, but Bustamante gave him the mandate to say, hey, this is what we want to do for the poor, right? And he says Jamaica's poor relief focused on addressing widespread post-independence means after,
Yes.
right? Pre means before. Poverty through parish-based administration and targeted social intervention, particularly under the Jamaica Labour Party administration of Edward Siaga. Key initiatives include tackling child malnutrition, launching early adult literacy efforts, and developing skills training programs for youth. This was what started in the 60s.
Yes.
So when PNP want to tell you that skills training began under Michael Manley, that's not true.
Yes, this
It's
is what
began
this
under
is.
Busta's
And
regime.
by the way, guys, the other day when Shane did say heart started, or was a concept right in the 60s, this is what Shane was talking about. See? It was heart came about in the 80s, but it was being conceptualized years before that. Go ahead, Uncle Josh.
But the JLP lost.
Yeah.
The JLP lost and Michael Manley scrapped it. So when Seaga came back, he just put it together and then do what he needed to do.
Yeah.
Right? So the focus on malnutrition again, which began from the 60s. The government of Jamaica, with international support, actively worked to lower high rates of child malnutrition, which was identified as a critical factor in the cycle of poverty. Skills and education, these are all under Bustamante and Hugh Lawson era. Right? Initiatives were introduced to provide vocational training, garment making, welding, plumbing to the children of the poor.
Mm-hmm.
Right? These things are brainchild of Bustamante. Right? Well, you can really say the three of them because Senator Hugh Lawson Shearer, Bustamante was Prime Minister, Hugh Lawson Shearer was Senator, and Edward Siaga was a Minister of Government who was responsible for the welfare and development.
Donald Sangster
welfare is the thing.
Also had big positions as well during that time. So you can say you can say Bustamante was winding down and those three was de facto leaders of the party.
Yeah.
You
know? Yep. In fact, I want to read something that Bustamante said that PNP likes to lie about. And let me bring it up. And it has to do with the very thing that the gentleman said a while ago. Right? So you can read this. There can be no new education without education. No, there can be no new Jamaica without education. Right?
Yes.
Let me tell you guys where you can find this. You can find it in the Jamaica Observer of October 11, 2021. You can go there and read it for yourself. Download it and keep it because PNP are erasing the information. Gleaner and PNP operatives, they are going in and actively erasing the information. Right? It says there can be no new Jamaica without education. Thus spoke Alexander Bustamante as he addressed the opening function of the Junction Health Center in St. Elizabeth in June 1953. The statement was true then, it is true now. For over 80 years, the name Alexander Bustamante has resonated through 3 generations of Jamaicans. It is the name of a man, a national hero, who has been portrayed as a warrior for the Jamaican working class, providing them with a voice at the workplace, restoring their dignity and giving to them a greater sense of selfhood, while securing for them improved job security, wages, and benefits. The riotous event of 1938 and their aftermath, his formation of the Bustamante Industrial Trade Union, BITU, to champion the rights of workers. His fearless confrontation with the military in 1940 during which he bared his chest as if to dare them to shoot him, and his subsequent detention for 17 months, almost 1.5 years, are common areas of focus and folklore in any discussion of Bustamante. That he was charismatic is well known. The people love for him was best expressed in their singing, "We will follow Bustamante till we die." Frankly, he has done a lot. But in any current discussion of Bustamante, what is usually given emphasis is his role as a labor leader. Very seldom are his administration's many achievements in governance and institutional building discussed. It is as though he was a labor leader only, full stop. The broad spectrum of his administration achievement in government and governance is therefore ignored. This is unfair to him and to his memory as a national hero. This National Heroes Day period of celebration should be a period of reflection on the contribution of our heroes. This year, I wish to revisit our view of Sir Alexander Bustamante and in doing so, begin by looking at just one area of his administration's governance, education, for which he has been given no credit. You hear that? He was given no credit for education. What then, one may ask, did his administration achieve in education? The broad answer is that they built a great number of primary schools to provide educational access to thousands of unregistered students. They created policy to provide access to secondary education for thousands of primary school children, and they laid the foundation for the building and expansion of teacher training institutions capacity to supply the teachers for these purposes. The noted economist Dr. Frederick Benham, at section 224 of his 1945 economic report to the Jamaican government, remarked that the child population of present age, school age 7 to 15 years, is about 255,000. The existing elementary schools can accommodate only 120. So, in other words, it could only accommodate half without overcrowding. A large number of children attended only irregular, and a considerable number do not attend at all. This is very unsatisfactory state of affairs, and this was printed in the Gleaner of March 8, 1945. Again, go there right away if you subscribe to the Gleaner archive. Go there right away and download it. Gleaner is going to erase it. They have been doing that. I want to remind you. What Dr. Benham did not mention, however, was that even the 120,000 registered primary school students were attending school, of which the majority had few truly qualified teaching staff. Schools that were in dilapidated conditions, that provided little or no playing field, had no canteen facility, and particularly in the rural areas where suitable residential accommodations were scarce, were singularly unattractive to qualified teachers. In addition, most of these primary schools were on premises owned and operated by churches, which had little or no financial capacity for maintaining or improving them. Bustamante administration, which took office in January 1945, attacked the problem frontally. His government's 1946-1947 10-year developmental plan, listening up. So from 1946 to 1947, they created a 10-year developmental plan, made significant provisions for expanding the capacity of primary schools, and they delivered by December 31st, 1953. So in other words, they planned it 46 and 47, and 5 years later, they executed it. They had completed, by 1946, by December 31st, 1953, they had completed 179 new primary schools. Listen to this, folks, and I want the PNP specifically to listen. By December 31st, 1953, they had completed 179 new primary schools and 84 open-air supplementary classrooms. This is found in the Gleaner of February 20th, 1954. Go there again and download it. I'm begging you folks, Gleaner is deleting these things, erasing. On his return to office in April 1962, the focus of Bustamante's government on the building of primary education remained. By February 1967, his party could boast that his government had built in 4 years, by December 31st, 1966, 126 primary schools, and that a further 40 schools were scheduled for completion by September 1967. 84 teachers' cottages had been built to support these schools in recognition of their difficulty in attracting qualified teachers to their rural location. And this can be found in the Gleaner of February 3rd, 1967. Go over there and download it again, my friends. The numerous primary schools that Bustamante administration built created a virtual revolution in governmental school ownership and administration. Prior to 1945, most primary schools were owned and operated by churches, which obtained a limited grant from government for their operation. Most of such schools lacked suitable classrooms, playing fields, adequate culinary facilities, in other words, canteens, for preparation of school lunches or cottages for teachers in rural areas. Bustamante changed all that by the widespread construction of over 179 government-owned and operated schools by December 1953. You hear that?
Mm-hmm.
By December 1953, Bustamante had built 153 government-owned schools and a further 166 between 1962 and 1967. That's 350 odd schools under his administration.
And remember that they built 88 before we gained independence under Bustamante as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's over 400 schools right there. And then by 1968, another to 1972, another 54 was built. So that's over 500 plus out of the 800 schools were built under Bustamante and Q Shearer tenureship alone.
And many of the others that was there, schools like Manning's and other schools were there from colonial times, and Catholic schools and church schools. So a lot of those schools that were there still remain till this day, separate from the ones that we built. You know? Right.
The significance of this in the big picture is better appreciated when one recognizes this, that at least 345 primary schools, or about 40% of the entire current stock of primary schools, were built under Bustamante administration. You hear that?
Of course.
Jamaicans, you heard that?
We know history.
40% of the entire stock of schools in Jamaica were built under Bustamante's administration. That's primary school alone. Another fundamental educational and policy direction was his administration's approach to the allocation of free places under the common entrance examination. The Norman Manley administration had in 1957 instituted a common entrance examination. Listen to this. To determine which children would receive government-paid or assistant-free places in approved high school. The placements were entirely based on merit. The observed experience, however, was those children from the mostly middle and upper socioeconomic class.
Pause for a second. The PNP are attacking my life. They might try to take it down, so we chip out a while ago. You know?
I'll read it over.
Anything to give information, then something then we are show them up in there. Then
no. PNP don't like that at all. And I'll read it over. Yeah, right? PNP is not interested in truth. They're interested in propaganda. Right? The observed experience, however, was those children from the mostly middle class, under Norman Manley, and upper socioeconomic classes who had received their kindergarten and primary education in preparatory schools or were attending grant-aided secondary schools were receiving a disproportionate number of free places. In other words, under Norman Manley, those who mainly received the common entrance places were the rich people's children. In contrast, the majority of primary school children suffered from levels of social and economic deprivation and usually did not start their primary school education until age 7. Disadvantaged by the lack of a stimulating intellectual environment, disadvantaged by social and economic conditions, disadvantaged by 4 years of schooling or less, disadvantaged by inadequate facilities with overcrowded classrooms, and disadvantaged by a lower quality of teaching. These students naturally found it difficult to compete on equal terms with students from private and grant-aided schools. In the 1961 examination, only 1.1% of the 84,000 primary school age cohort got a free place.
Just for the record,
you hear that?
Just for the record, Uncle Josh, and for persons,
yes, sir.
For persons who may not know this, Hugh Lawson Shearer would come later on and build a lot of schools again on top of the one that we already built. You know?
Right. 54 in the first tranche, right?
Yes.
Right, which later, the last year of his tenureship, Michael Manley completed it.
Yes.
Right? But it's not Michael Manley. This is what the PNP go on their lives and tell liars and boy, Labour Party get 10 million from World Bank and use off the money. That's what the PNP have been telling lies about.
Yes.
But the inquiry never proved that. Right? By 4 years of schooling or less, right? A free place in contrast, right? So only 1.1% of the 84,000 primary school age cohort got a free place, in contrast to 35% from the preparatory school. So in other words, when you check what primary school students were getting versus prep school students were getting 33 to 35%, while the regular primary school students, which are the poor people's children, were getting 1.1%, less than 2%. So you could say that what they were getting was basically 33 times lower places than what the rich people's children. And it's not because they were brighter, it's because they were disadvantaged.
Yes.
Such a free place system, if continued, would further entrench the significant class and economic division in the society. It would keep much of the poor permanently poor and put a ceiling on the capacity of their children to throw off the shackles of poverty and rise to fulfill their destiny. His government therefore established a new policy. This is Bustaman's government for the 1963 school year and onwards, that at least 70% of all students receiving government free places from the common entrance examination must come from the primary school. Let me explain that. So Bustamante saw what was happening and realized that, listen, the poor people's children were only getting 1.1% of the places. And so he went and he established a policy, government policy, to say, listen, 70% of all the places that are going to be reserved for common entrance students must come from the poorer class.
Yes.
That's it in a nutshell. Right? And 30% will be left for the richer class.
Yes.
Right? He says that 70-30 free place decision has been a significant catalyst for positive social and economic upliftment for thousands of children from households of the poor. Many have used it to become current-day senior administrators and professionals in a wide array of disciplines, both here in Jamaica and abroad. Bustamante's administration achievement in expanding many schools, building over 345 new schools, and introducing the 70-30 free places policy are among the strongest indicators of his commitment to creating better social and economic prospects for the children of the poor and the poor themselves through education. Right? This tells you that the Labour Party and Bustamante, their focus was poor-centric, right? Poor upliftment centric, right? So when you hear PNP like to take credit for things that they know nothing of, you can rubbish that argument. That is why they try to shut down lives whenever these lives are trying to
give information,
to educate persons, because they fear people having education, because when you know, they can no longer lie to you.
Yes.
Right?
That is
what was the program again that I spoke about, DUJON?
Just now.
The developmental program. What was it again? I was giving the name of it. I want to pull it up on my phone and give you some information from it.
I can't remember. Remember some old and I know Uncle Josh, man. I know my memory, I know.
Oh.
You know?
All right. That means no more babies for you then, 'cause old people don't get babies.
Be one more man. Remember say when the man they throw the Bible we make Israel and Gaza. When he remember say when the man 90 I didn't get Gaza,
Yeah.
Get
So
Israel.
you're a modern day Abraham, right?
Yes.
or more recently, Mr. Tiaga, Vim
Yes.
Vigor and Vitality.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Busta Manti never end up having any children, even though he was married 4 times, Uncle Josh. He never got
4 times.
He never got a biological child. Yes, he was married 4 times. Mama Gladys being the last one. And he got married to Mama Gladys when he was 73 years old.
So you and I have hope, man. We can strike the iron a few more times, right?
Yes. and he died at 93. I am going to go and look for footage of his funeral. Hopefully, we can find his funeral. I just heard
Let's hope.
I just heard his voice the other day because I was very interested in finding out how he sound. So I went about looking for footage with his voice, and I heard how he sound.
Yeah, he had a very forceful and powerful voice.
Yes.
Yeah. But he was very charismatic, a very nice man.
Yes.
Gentle in some regard, but when he needed to be rough, he was also rough.
We was his children. Jamaica was his children. Jamaica, he wanted to make sure that we were okay. So he spent his life looking after us.
And the same thing almost happened to Mr. Siaga. Mr. Siaga was so busy looking after Jamaica that his personal life was impacted negatively.
Yes.
Someone once asked Mr. Siaga in private why he doesn't smile. And he basically pointed to Jamaica and said, listen, it is such a serious matter. Development is such a serious matter. And I'm just paraphrasing. That boy, I really don't have time right now. And in his latter years, he spoke about it,
Yeah.
He says, boy, he wished he had spent more time with his family.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny enough, he adopted a black boy as his child.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, during the 60s, the Jamaica Labour Party government led by Sir Alexander Bustamante and later Donald Franklin Youth Shearer focused on fundamental social services. So, again, Bustamante to combat poverty. Key initiatives included establishing the National Insurance Scheme. Again, this is a Bustamante effort for comprehensive social security. Launching massive rural development projects, including building new secondary school and promoting vocational training via youth camps, right? The National Insurance Act. And, this was something by this time he was leaving office, but nonetheless, this man got his training on them. Edwin Alling as Minister of Education, right? Got his tutelage on the Bustamante. Under Edwin Allen, the government focused on building new secondary schools to provide vocational and academic education to children from poor backgrounds. Expansion of training programs for out-of-school youth, including upgrading camps at Cobbler, Chesterville, Kenilworth, and establishing a girls' camp at Cape Clear. Economic opportunities. The Foreign Nationals and Commonwealth Citizens Employment Act 1964 was passed to ensure Jamaicans had first preference for jobs aimed at alleviating economic disparity. So you see some of these landmark things by Bustamante and the JLP. Infrastructure, the government aimed to improve water supplies, housing, and health services in rural areas. By the way, I'm going to pull up a document where Bustamante embarked on building 57 housing schemes in Jamaica, DUJON.
Yes.
And did you know that Bustamante actually built so much housing schemes?
Yes, I was told by Chopper.
Oh, you were told?
Yes.
And I'm glad you were told because we need to pass on this information. Because PNP's intention is to try and hide it.
Yes.
Their intention is not for the people to be educated at all, but to go around misleading Jamaicans and letting them think that PNP did what PNP never do. Because PNP's intention is to let people be constantly subservient to them. Give me a second.
Yes. So while Uncle Josh look for that, my people, we are going to delve in the history of our leaders. I want to do Hugh Shearer and Donald Sugster. I also want to go into the national heroes, my people. I am very interested to learn the story about Marcus Garvey. And I always said every time I come to Jamaica, I say I go where he was born, and me never end up going. But for some strange reason, I feel a connection to Marcus Garvey. I tell him already, but I feel a connection to him. You know, I just feel a connection to him. I don't know why, I can't explain it, but I feel a connection to him. So I want to explore, his younger years before he went to farm the Black Star Line. You know, I know he ended up in Britain. That is where he died. In Britain, and I know there was a standoff between his first wife and his second wife. You know.
No, I think he was incarcerated in the United States,
Yeah,
and that's
man.
where he died in prison.
No, he got deported to Jamaica. After he came from prison, and he went to Britain. That is where Edward Seaga went for his body, in Britain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, tell him that the PNP didn't want his body to be returned to Jamaica, and Norman Manley refused it.
Yes, the PNP did not want Marcus Garvey's body back in Jamaica. You know, they also didn't want him to bury. They wanted to bury him upside down, my people. You know, normally them say your head's supposed to rest where the sun set, Uncle Josh. Is that how it goes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did not want to bury him that way. They wanted to bury him where he can't see the sunset, basically. You know, that is the level of disrespect that the PNP was showing Marcus Garvey. So even the other day when I heard Mark Golden saying something along the line of Marcus Garvey is our first national hero, we should have it in school and all of these things. You know, the PNP is sickening. They're sick donkey to me. You see me, I say? I don't believe he was in prison in the UK, Dennis. He went to prison in America because they framed him saying commit mail fraud. And he went to prison and he was disgraced and deported back to Jamaica. But when he came to Jamaica, because you know the PNP them did not behave certain kind of way, he ended up leaving back to Britain where he got married again. And he got married again in Britain. That is where he died, in Britain, and was buried in Britain. You know, you can check it out. You know.
And he's the father of Pan-Africanism, for those who need to know.
Yes, so
right.
So
Lumumba and the entire African continent, learned from Marcus Garvey.
Even people like
African and
even people like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, they all come from Marcus Garvey. You know, they all look to him.
But even before them, you had the Black Panther movement and Stokely Carmichael in the United States and all of these guys.
Yeah.
You know, the entire Black Power movement of the United States was influenced by Marcus Garvey because he started his journey basically outside of Jamaica. He started his journey in the United States where he had 2 million followers.
Yes. So we're gonna delve into that one of them there, Uncle Josh. You know.
Yes, sir. All right. So I want to mention this because a lot of persons don't know. So we spoke about the housing.
Yes.
We spoke about his trade union life. We spoke about his early years and the job that he did. Now we're going to be looking at housing for Sir Alexander Bustamante. In the 1960s, Sir Alexander Bustamante Jamaica Labour Party administration addressed acute housing shortages and slum conditions through massive state-sponsored housing schemes and the transformation of penned settlement into planned gardens. So what they call penned settlement is basically some areas that were cordoned off, like you put animals in a place.
Yes.
Right? Just for the poor people so that they don't mingle with the rich people. That is what happened right after slavery. Right?
Yeah.
And so they changed it from pen settlement to planned communities. Key projects include the creation of Duane Park, Washington Gardens, and the initiation of large-scale modern development like Portmore. All right, so 1968, when Mr. Seaga came up with the plan to build Portmore, PNP laughed at him
Say a swamp.
PNP laugh at him, you know,
Say a swamp.
and ask him if he's going to bring people going to swampland, go drown them off.
Yeah, and today
Believe it or not.
Today them say a PNP created Portmore.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So key aspects of 1960s housing plan: the gardens concept was meant to rebranded or replace former pen slums areas with upgraded name gardens. Communities examples: Olympic Gardens, Waterhouse Pen, Pembroke Hall, and Marvelly to improve quality of life for the working class. So what this means when it says Waterhouse Pen was changed from Waterhouse Pen to Waterhouse Gardens, but unfortunately, they took off the gardens and leave Waterhouse.
Yeah.
Pembroke Hall should have been Pembroke Hall Gardens, and they just call it Pembroke Hall. Marvelly now. To improve quality of life. Housing initiatives. Following the 1951 hurricane rehousing scheme, the 1960s saw continued expansion with over 57 schemes built by 1961 and continued through the early 60s. Urban expansions and planning. Due to a lack of flat land in Kingston, the government started developing the Portmore area, purchasing land from Cayman's estate to build thousands of homes. Infrastructure and design developments included modern planned units, often featuring 2 or 3 rooms. Projects often involve massive land reclamation, such as dredging the harbor to build up the lowlands of Portmore. And that is why, by the way, the causeway was built, because it was supposed to be a shortcut from downtown and from Portmore to downtown. Right? Portmore initiative. Portmore key 1960s development. Portmore initiated as a massive residential project in the mid to late 60s with West Indies home contractors, Wicon, beginning Independence City in 1969. By the way, that place that is owned by the Israeli company on Mandela Highway also was one of the companies that got the contract. Right, don't remember the name of it right now. But by that place in Spanish Town right there, close to the
Kingston
the registrar.
St. Andrew at all. Me just drive through. You know, that's all me do. If me have a specific place I go. Me have family at Kingston, but me never really go spend no time with them. You know?
If you last any time, you can call me. I can tell you, I can be in my sleep and answer you.
I don't think we're gonna last this time with GPS, you know, maybe back in the day. And I because I drive for a living, I can read the road signs and go where me I go. Me don't really need something, you know.
And believe it, there are signs everywhere now.
Yeah.
Right, Kingston areas, development of Bailey Park, Long Mountain, St. Patrick City, and Tavares Gardens. Community shift, rehousing residential from slum areas like Buckawall into new organized, though often politically contentious communities. Right, so Astrom is the name of the company that I was trying to remember.
Yes. Big up Father.
Right, international. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, man, go ahead.
International Technological Partnership. The government introduced advanced technologies to speed up construction, such as working with the Israeli company Astrom towards the end of the decade. These initiatives continued in part by Edward Seaga development plans in the early 60s, marked a shift towards state-managed, large-scale, modern residential infrastructure to combat slum conditions. So, again, PNP like to take credit for housing in Jamaica, right? That's not true. Again, I'm going to debunk that. You know, give me a second. Let me find something here.
You know what I really like, Uncle Josh, we get you, Mr. Dolan, and Chaps Media, and the Horn. You know, would I like to invite Rusty too, but Rusty temperament now go allow feet. You know, so.
Right.
But we like to hear from the
and protecting JA, and also connecting the dots.
Yes, and connecting the dots. Yes, most definitely. You know,
right.
We need to find a way to coach them away from over TikTok, you know, and see if we can get them over here.
No, man. We still have to be on TikTok,
No,
man.
man.
The
Me mean
PNP
like me
over
mean
there.
just for the show. Just for the show. Not to get away from TikTok. Not to take them away from it. Just to get them on for the program, for this program. You know?
Tell me, give me advance notice and I'll reach out to, I have every one of the number.
All right. Well, me and you, we plan that separately. You know?
Yeah. So listen to this now. During the 1960s, the Jamaica Labour Party under leaders like Edward Seaga established critical financial institutions to shift ownership from foreign to local hands, Jamaicanization, and build economic independence. Key institutions included the Bank of Jamaica, which was built in 1961. This is under Busta again, created by Edward Seaga. Jamaica Citizens Bank, 1967, created by Edward Seaga again. 1968. Purpose and development in the 60s. Bank of Jamaica, 1961, replaced the currency board system to gain control over monetary policies, manage currency, and foster economic growth. Jamaicanization of finance initiated by the JLP. This involved promoting local ownership of banks, trust companies, and insurance firms to ensure financial decisions benefited the domestic economies. Jamaica Citizens Bank was built in 1967, established as the first majority-owned local commercial bank, making a key shift towards local control of financial assets. Jamaica Stock Exchange, 1968, created to provide a local venue for trading shares and to foster investment in Jamaican businesses. Right? Then Merchant Bank and other institutions. The JLP introduced merchant banking and fostered institutions like the Jamaica Development Bank, JDB to provide medium long-term financing for development. These measures were part of a broader strategy to establish a first world financial infrastructure, encouraging local participation in productive enterprises and expanding the economy after independence in 1962.
Uncle Josh.
Right? 1962. Yes, sir.
Hold that point. No, I don't know if you were listening last night. But last night, while I was on the live and I was playing, what's that other lady called that done the, not Eula Gray Baker, the other lady that one of these politicians took her home. While I was listening to her story, something stood out to me, and I decided this morning when I woke up, I went to look into some things. You know that, the interest rate overnight that the PNP put up, and them sending out agents with the US dollar to buy up currency in the back of a vehicle. That was a deliberate strategy to tear down Century National Bank. Did you know that? And because
not just Century National Bank,
they wanted to do that one. Hold on, they wanted
all
to
the
do
local
that one.
banks.
They wanted to do that one specifically because Edward Seaga was friends with that guy, but it triggered a ripple effect. That is what happened, It triggered a ripple effect and tear down the market instead. So they went after that one bank, and it triggered a ripple effect and tear down the rest. That is why that is what they did. And when me really get up this morning, I say, I'm gonna look past or something. I say that them do them because that bank was linked to Edward Seaga, the man being Edward Seaga friend. And remember that Edward Seaga spent all of the 60s building up the financial sectors, putting all of these things in place. And that is what he used to build back Jamaica in the 80s after Manley destroyed it. So how you just say the Jamaicanization, where we were taking stuff from foreigners and putting them into Jamaican hand, that actually reversed in the 1990s because that was Edward Seaga's legacy. That is from my investigation in Uncle Josh.
Yeah. And I want to piggyback on what you have just said.
Mm-hmm.
So it was reverse. Ronnie Tweed said it. The greatest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich since slavery.
Yes.
That was what a PNP member of parliament said. Ronnie Tweed.
Yes.
Reverend Ronnie Tweed. Now, under Mark Golding, who was a rich man, the grandson of a former slave owner in Jamaica, who was his grandfather owned 138 slaves in Jamaica, we sold back those assets that were Jamaican to foreign owners again.
Yes.
So we take it back from the local man, the poor man in Jamaica, and the local man, and sell it back to foreigners. That is why he sold it to Trinidad. And don't you find it interesting that Mark Golding's sister live in Trinidad? One of his business partner, who is his brother-in-law, live in Trinidad. All of those assets, or most of them, were sold to Trinidad, and Mark Golding now has a business in Trinidad known as Rerum. In addition to that, the company that was brought in, the forensic financial company that was brought in to investigate the Prime Minister that found him innocent, was also brought in from Trinidad. Your guess is as good as mine why all of these things happen. Right? Now, I want to bring your attention to land. Michael Manley likes to take credit again, my friends, for land lease. Let us debunk that and show you what Busta did and the JLP in the 60s. In the 1960s, post-independence Jamaica from 1962 saw the implementation of the Land Development and Utilization Act. Remember, this is 1960s. Commonly known as the Use It or Lose It policy, initiated by the JLP government. This policy required owners of 10 plus acres of agricultural land to actively cultivate it, targeting land hoarding to increase production and combat poverty. In other words, those who were buying up massive land, the Jamaica Labour Party government said, no, that can't work.
Yeah.
With the first land lease project launched in 1968.
By Edward Siaga.
You hear that?
Mm-hmm.
The first land lease program launched in 1968.
Isn't that not the time he started to the land bank as well? Is it not that time he started to?
It was actually 2 years before that. Listen to this.
Okay.
Key aspects of the 1960s land utilization in Jamaica, Land Development and Utilization Act 1966. The government sought to tackle the problem of idle agricultural land. If land was deemed unused, the Land Development and Utilization Commission could require owners to submit plans for development or risk government action. Use it or lose it policy. The policy focused on ensuring agricultural land 10 plus acres was used for farming, livestock, or forestry. Initial project 1968. The first land lease project was launched in Hanover, followed by another in St. Mary in 1968, marking the beginning of state-driven efforts to reallocate unused land for agricultural development. Mm-hmm. So when Michael Manley and the PNP come and tell you that they talk about eat what you grow, this was not Michael Manley's idea, people. Hear this for yourself. Political context, the 1960s saw intense political pressure and land reform was used to address rural needs. The initiatives were later rebranded. Let me read that again. Political context. The 1960s saw intense political pressure and land reform was used to address rural needs. The initiatives were later rebranded and expanded by PNP in the 70s as Project Land Lease. Mm-hmm. You hear that? Rebranded. Context of 1960s rural life. The act was also a response to the need to curb squatting, which was prevalent due to the high demand for land by small-scale farmers and Rastafarian communities, sometimes leading to conflict. This period marked a transition from colonial land structures to more active state management of agricultural resources. Mm-hmm. Right? You can also go to the Myers, Fletchers and Gordon website and read that for yourself.
Uncle Josh.
Right? You can type in use. Yes, sir?
Me I try to hold up. I'm tired. So we have to wrap up soon.
Right.
We'll probably have to go
all
resume.
Right. So
we have to resume this.
I will land there and I will continue another time leading right into Hugh Shearer and Edward Siaga's tenureship because there's so much. Yeah. We could have 4 programs back to back on these matters.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So I will land there with the Land Utilization Act. And the next time, sir, we will begin at the poor relief program that the Labour Party set up in the 60s.
All right.
Right? And show you how it also tied into this.
All right, Warlords. So remember now that Uncle Joshua going to start where? Where we going to start, Uncle Joshua?
The poor relief program of the 1960s the next time.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Not talking about doing vase. Okay. So we're gonna wrap up now, guys. I don't can go over nuts. So big up all 176 person who is still here. Big up all 145 person that gave me a thumbs up. And I will soon in the morning. See? Uncle Josh, much
Yes,
respect.
sir.
You know. Any closing
No
arguments?
problem, man.
Mm,
Well, my closing argument, folks, the only way to combat lies is to know the truth, right? And part of knowing the truth, you have to be willing to do your research because your children's future depend on this, not just you. Some of us may ask, what is the purpose of all of this? Why go back in the past? But as Marcus Garvey says, and as Dujon said, and I think rightly so, Marcus Garvey's famous quote is that a people without knowledge of their past is like a tree without root. A tree without root will die. A people who doesn't know their past will go back to it, right? Especially the negative past. They will go back to it. And they're doomed to repeat it. And one of the things that Winston Churchill says is that the victor controls the narrative. The
yes.
PNP, when they were victors in 1972, changed the narrative to suit themselves and lied to your people.
Yes.
Now, finally, in closing, one of the things also is that if you don't know the history, you can't pass it on to your children. And foreigners will know your history and you don't. And then we will become laughing stocks. We have to be willing to share the rich history and the proper perspective of Jamaica's history with those who are following after us. Jamaica is dependent upon you. Continue to make the right decision. This is the party, the Jamaica Labour Party, that has always put the interest of the poor in the very forefront of national development. And as a result of that, we can see the record speaking for itself. And having said that, I say good night to you all.
All right, Uncle Josh. We'll be coming back for part 3 soon. See? All right, Uncle Josh. Big up yourself. Enough
No
respect.
problem, sir. No problem. God bless you.
I'll soon in the morning, guys. Much love. Much respect. Shower liberates.